Good afternoon, Rabun County. It's Roger Glenn with Poss Realty coming to you again with another in our series of the story of Rabun County, and in this case, the immediate surrounding area, told through its people and its organizations. And we are delighted to be here today with President and Head of School, Mr. Larry Peevy. Well, thank you, Dr. Peevy, for taking time to tell us a little bit about Tallulah Falls School.
Well, thanks. I'm glad you're here. I love to talk about Tallulah Falls Schools. So I'll start by saying we have about 500 acres of a campus, and this year we opened school with 555 students. We have students from all over the country, all over the world, and an awful lot of local kids that are right here from Rabun County and Habersham County and our other surrounding counties. So it's a wonderful opening of school. Not only do we have everyone back in-person learning, but really also happy from a management perspective to say that we have a surplus of about $1 million in our budget this year. And coming right off of a pandemic, that means an awful lot to have that as a backup.
Yeah.
So to say it's a good year already is an understatement. I'm delighted.
Off to a good start. And I know a lot of people probably have driven by Tallulah Falls School. Of course, if you don't get off of 441, you only see the middle school, you don't see the upper school. And the school offers education for 5 through 12, grades 5 through 12. And you mentioned the total number of students. What a lot of people may not know as well, can you just talk about the international students that are here?
We have a good number of international students. When I first came 15 years ago, they were from 3 countries. And they're great kids, but we wanted to expand the cultural enrichment opportunities for our students. And so I have tried to hold the number of international students to about the same, between 75 and 80 international students, because we don't depend on international students for their money. Most schools admit as many internationals as they can get because they pay, about $50,000 a piece for their education, but we're not tuition driven as an institution. So what I use international students for is the cultural enrichment. And so instead of 3 countries, we now have 22 countries represented. And they eat with the kids, are in class with all the other students. They go on trips with them, they play sports with them. And it's just an extremely valuable experience for our kids and also for the internationals to have that exposure to American culture, and our kids having the exposure to cultures all over the world.
Yeah.
And so they're great friends, and they learn from each other, and it's just a wonderful thing to have international students.
Yeah. Well, and it contributes, frankly, to the diversity of the community.
Well, when our kids go to college, they already understand what's going on in the world, not just their little part of the world.
Right.
And so that's a tremendous value, I think.
It absolutely is. Tallulah Falls School has a fascinating history, and if you're interested in its full history, it's well memorialized in many places. But let me start by asking just for some of the highlights of how the school was founded. Sure. And sort of some of the key milestones in its history.
Well, we're in the mountains, and back in 1909, the students in this area didn't have a lot of exposure to education. In fact, the kids from this particular area went to school on the upper floor of the local jailhouse. That was not heated, not air conditioned, of course. And they couldn't go to school year round because it was too cold to do that. And there was a lady by the name of Mary Ann Lipscomb who married the son of the chancellor at the University of Georgia, by the way. And she lived in Athens and was a member of the Athens Women's Club. And so she took it on as a personal mission of her own to create an educational environment for the students in this area. Well, to begin with, she collected $5,000 from her club, and they started a school with 21 students. Now you can imagine what that was like back then. They had one school room,
right,
with 21 kids and a teacher who was teaching all grade levels.
right.
So it was quite a different experience, but it was the best experience these children had ever had. So it really worked well, and it evolved into a tremendous opportunity for the mountain children. So much so that both Rabun County and Habersham County talked to Tallulah Falls about becoming a public school for the students that they couldn't get to their facility because they didn't have the busing routes and all the other things they have in place now.
Right.
So until the early 50s, we became not only a boarding school and a school for the mountain children, but we taught kids from Habersham and Rabun County that were public school children.
Right.
And they paid us a tremendous amount of money from all the records I've seen. $75 a year per student.
Per student.
But back then, that was a pretty good bit, and
Right.
they were able to do a good job. In the mid-50s or so, we became totally private again,
Right.
because they expanded their busing systems and other means were available for the kids to go to the public schools. But we've maintained a private school with boarding capability. And when I came 15 years ago, we had about 120 students, most of whom were from out of state and from out of country.
Mm-hmm.
And what they wanted to do, the board wanted to kind of go back to its roots.
Right.
And be a school for the mountain children again. And so we opened a middle school, and everything sort of evolved from that.
Right.
We grew from 120 students to 555 students. And frankly, Roger, we could have twice that many. We have leveled off our enrollment because we want to keep our classes to 15, and I want to hire only the best teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've done a lot of things to maintain that size because we find that is the perfect size for us to teach the kind of curriculum that we're offering. And we have a college prep curriculum only.
Yeah.
And that includes 20 college classes that we teach on campus here.
Yeah.
Along with some AP classes, of course. But I personally prefer the college classes because that guarantees credit, and AP classes require you to take another test and whatever, to get that. And not all colleges accept AP credit.
Yeah.
So we really love the college class program.
And you were telling me the significance of that is that the majority of your students begin their college careers as sophomores.
Well, that's right. They start taking college classes here in their junior year.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually have one student last year who was able to, after one semester, declare his junior status.
Wow.
So, they can really gain from it. It saves their parents money. It gets them into the job market earlier, or into their advanced degrees earlier.
Right.
So it's a win-win situation for the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned that it's a college preparatory curriculum.
That's correct.
That you offer.
Yeah, and those that don't want to take college classes certainly don't have to, but the classes they will be taking will be advanced classes.
Right.
So they're still getting a little more advanced education in every class that they take.
Absolutely. Well, we've talked mostly about academics, as it should be, if you will. But can you just talk about the athletics programs and the arts programs and the other sort of enrichment programs that you have?
Well, we really try to get as many students involved in extracurricular activities as we possibly can, because as you and I were talking earlier, I was in higher education for about 35 years before coming here. And that was one of the things that we also encouraged in the advanced educational programs. Kids sitting in a classroom certainly have advantages, and they're learning and they're growing academically, but there's more to the developmental process of a college prep or a college program than sitting in the classrooms. And so we try to get as many kids involved in sports, in the arts programs, in just different kinds of things. You know, we have a rifle team here. We have a bass fishing team. Gosh, I'd love to have had a bass fishing team when I was in college. What a way to go to college. And then we have 40 sports programs that they can get into. And, you know, when we went through the little pandemic last year, everybody at the beginning of the year was really worried about how we were going to do practices, how we were going to play games and whatever. And we ended up having the best year in the history of the school. It's just amazing. Almost every team we have that was competitive last year went on to state. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was just a magic kind of year. I don't know whether it was the kids being away from each other, you know, and coming back in a in-class environment, because the previous year we were out of semester, you know, when this whole thing hit.
Right.
And everyone was doing the distance learning thing. Well, we made a conscious decision to come back last year in person, and the kids were so ready for it. And I think they just excelled in everything they did. And every sport we had just won. And we went to state playoffs, and we had 7 of our athletes win college scholarships. Yeah. Our girls golf team, for example, finished 2nd in the state. Mm-hmm. Both the top players on our golf team won full college scholarships. Right. And so many kids were successful with the sports program. So, and we try to get people involved in theater and art and all kinds of other activities. Whatever their interest might be, we've tried to plan something for them. Yeah. I enjoy watching our specialty teams, like the rifle team. They went to nationals this year. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, there's something for everyone. Right.
Well, I think it's noteworthy that your sort of philosophy of being student-centric is demonstrative of kind of the right balance, if you will, of sort of academics and those extracurricular activities.
Well, you know, we changed our mission about 14 years ago. It used to be a mission that everybody else had, you know, preparing children for life or something like that. Well, you should have a mission that's more than that, we thought. And so we still wanted to include a top academic preparation as part of it, but we added another element that was equal to the academic preparation, and that is the development of character. Mm-hmm. And I explained it to the kids this way. Every great leader in business, education, politics, whatever, is smart, or they wouldn't be where they are. But not all of them are ethical. And what we are wanting to develop here at Tallulah Falls School is a student that is highly intelligent, but can make decisions that affect other people in a positive way. And we call that character. And so the development of intellect and the development of character are the two primary elements in our mission.
Yes.
And they're doing pretty well with it. I'm very, very pleased.
Amen. I wanted to go back to something you were just talking about a minute ago, Dr. Peevy, and that was sort of your response to COVID and how you dealt with it. But could you share with us the number of students that you had that end up actually being affected by COVID? Because this is pretty remarkable.
Well, a lot of people were affected by COVID in different ways. But what we wanted to do was track it and see exactly how many were affected and directly by contact at the school.
Yes.
Because we have so many protocols in place with sanitation, with distancing. We even had our hallways marked in directional type ways. So we did a really good job of tracing every person that contracted COVID. And what we found was, in our study, was during the entire year, we could track only one person that contracted it directly from Tallulah Falls School environment.
Right.
Any other students that contracted it during the year, we found it came from parents or trips to Walmart or someplace other than the campus. So what we were doing with our protocols, was really creating a safe environment. And so our risk management team has put those same protocols in place and actually refined it significantly for this year.
Yeah.
And so we're going to do the same thing. We started campus this year, started our classes in a much safer environment, we feel. Those that are vaccinated, we congratulate them. Those that are not, we encourage to wear a mask, but we don't require it. It's a family decision that they have to make. However, if someone is diagnosed with COVID, the ones that are vaccinated are going to stay in school. The ones that are not, that might have a contact with them, will be quarantined.
Yeah.
So there's a real advantage to being vaccinated. And a great number of our students are, and I'm really proud of them for that.
Yeah.
But we're going to try to carry on campus as normal as possible.
I was going to say.
Because frankly, psychologically, that's one of the worst things that can happen to kids, is pull them out of their social and academic environment and treat them in such a way that they're not a normal person.
So the show has gone on, and life has gone on here.
The kids love it. We started our year off in an amazing way. We met with all the seniors to watch a sunrise on Monday. Now, you get seniors to get up that early to watch a sunrise, and you've done something.
Yes.
But they were all there.
That's a miracle.
And we had our chicken biscuits and some drinks, and we all watched the sunrise together, because that represents a new beginning. And particularly for these seniors that are going to be my leaders on campus and setting the example for the rest of the kids. And I'm just so proud of them. They're a bunch of great students, and I'm just looking forward to the year. It's going to be a great year.
As you said, you're off to a great start.
Yep. Sure.
Your time is so valuable. Just one final question for you. As you look out into the future, I know you're very much focused on this academic year, if you will, but what are some things that you're working on that you're excited about?
Well, we've done a lot of things to make this sort of a special place, I think. I'm most excited about how we can give good information to parents. When you send your child to a private prep school, that typically is a very expensive process. We have developed a program that separates us from just about every other school in the nation, and it's called a tuition freeze program. And when a parent comes in with a fifth grader, and we have a normal charge of $11,000 for a domestic student, and their financial situation merits some financial aid. And I give away $5.5 million a year to deserving students. Over 70% of our kids are on financial aid. Let's say instead of paying $11,000, their amount of tuition is determined to be $5,000. Well, they'll start school here and they'll pay $5,000 for their entire year, which would include all their books. It includes a laptop computer that we issue for every student. It includes the trips they take. It includes all the things. Well, that parent will pay $5,000 for that year, and every year until that student graduates, they'll pay the same thing. Right. If they have a sibling that comes in 2 years later, they will pay the same thing as the first sibling. So as a parent, you can choose Tallulah Falls School because of the value that it provides, but also for the great understanding you have of what it's really going to cost you.
Right.
And you can take that to the bank. It's an amazing thing, and I don't know of another school in the nation that's doing that. There are very few that also are offering 20 college classes on their campus. There are very few that do many other things that we have. We're providing the finest equipment in the classrooms. We're providing the nicest buildings. We just finished a $16 million natatorium, which is a 10-lane pool. We're going to be having all kinds of water safety classes, swimming lessons, PE classes, scuba diving classes, canoeing classes, competition swims. It's a state-of-the-art facility, and it is really going to be great for our swim team and for anyone that comes to enjoy that facility. But the best thing I think we have is a family atmosphere, and I'm going to do everything in my power as long as I'm here to maintain that family atmosphere, because the kids feel like they're coming home when they come back to school. They feel like it's a family, and I hear that from students and from parents almost every day, and that's the kind of atmosphere I think that kids perform best in. And so when they're in a safe environment and a happy environment, so that's what we'll be working on. Of course, we'll be looking down the road at our next building, of course, in terms of the greatest need. We'll be looking to hire the best teachers that we can find. We're going to be providing great benefits to them. As you and I talked earlier, right. We have a health package that is probably called a platinum package somewhere, because I don't know of a better one anywhere. But they've got full health coverage and dental coverage and vision and retirement, and we pay for all of it in terms of their cost. And we have it increased in terms of what we offer every year that we open. So it's an amazing program, I think, but it just shows how, first of all, how much we care for our faculty and our staff, and we want to give them that kind of a benefit. Right. And we want them to feel comfortable in this environment, that someone is taking care of them and watching out for them. And that is also complemented by a 3% raise every year and a 6% matching toward retirement. As long as they contribute 6% of their salary toward retirement, we match it.
Yeah. So
we're really trying to build a staying environment, a happy environment, and I just have virtually no turnover in faculty or staff.
Why would anyone?
Well, that's right. I mean, it's a neat kind of place, but frankly, we have a lot of things in the plans, and one of the things that I haven't mentioned to you before is that we have resource classes in both the upper school and the middle school now, and I've just hired a new resource teacher for the middle school. But what that is for those kids that might be having a little trouble in a particular class, we don't want them to get so far behind that they can't improve. And so we bring them in for special help whenever we notice it. And we particularly notice it when students transfer here first, of the year, and they may be a little bit behind in mathematics or reading or something like that. And we're able to get them engaged right away with a resource teacher that's going to help elevate their ability to participate in the class so they don't fall behind. And that's a valuable tool, because too often kids fall behind in classes at all schools, and there's no one there to help them when they need it. And so we've gone out of our way to identify early on kids with needs, and then take care of bringing them up to a certain level. Because our role, I think, is to create an environment that will allow a student to reach their highest potential, whatever that might be. And our teachers spend a lot of time helping them develop their skills so that they can reach that highest potential.
Right. Dr. Peevy, for parents or students that are interested in potentially attending Tallulah Falls School, what would you recommend in terms of what opportunities there are?
Well, I think there's three that I would recommend. First, do your research on the website. Go to www.tallulahfalls.org, and you can go through and take a campus tour. You can hear what some students are saying about their experience here. You can see the buildings in a virtual tour of all the buildings. It's a great resource. So you can spend as much time as you have, going through the campus on the website.
And all the history.
And you can learn the history. It's all right there. The second thing that I would do is set up an appointment with our admission staff so that you can actually get a tour of the campus. When I was in higher ed, I used to tell every student I ever came into contact with that there's not one school that's right for everybody. There is one that's right for you. But once you've done your research, narrow your choices down to about 3 schools and go visit them. And what's going to happen at the end of that visit is you're going to go back to your car and you're going to look at your mom and dad and you're going to say one of 2 things. You're going to say, "Get me out of here, I can't stand this place." Or you're going to say, "Wow, what a place. That's where I think I can be happy." And that way, we get the best students and they get the best school. And you're not making a bad mistake, because you've visited, you've gotten a feel for it, you've talked to the people that you'll be working with. They've either identified with you and you've identified with them, or there's a disconnect.
Right.
If there's a disconnect during the visit, I can guarantee you there'll be a disconnect when you're a student.
Right.
So choose a school where you feel comfortable, that you think you can be happy in, because in all of my experience in education, I've found that happiness has more to do with success than any other element, including intelligence. But happiness is the key to your success. And then I think the third thing, and maybe also one of the most important, is to talk to parents and students that are currently attending and ask them how they like it. Ask them about the things that interest you. And I think they can be a tremendous resource. So those are the 3 things I would recommend.
Well, Dr. Peevy, I want to thank you again for your time today. I know how busy you are, especially this being the beginning of the academic year. And I also want to just thank you for your leadership that you have provided Tallulah Falls School, not only the students that are here, but the employees, that team environment, and leveraging your experience in education and the military and just life in general. And it really shows just physically and everything that's happening here on campus. And for those people that live in Rabun County, visit Rabun County, or are thinking about living or visiting Rabun County, the school, albeit not formally in
Well, my bedroom is actually in Rabun County on this campus.
Well, I was going to
That's
say, it's right on the line.
In fact, this was started as a county line school. And that's what they called it to begin with, is a county line school.
Yeah.
So for Rabun and Habersham County.
Yeah, that's
But
fantastic.
I'm really glad, Roger, that you're working with Rabun Chamber so that you can present different businesses and organizations, and particularly the educational opportunities. This is very good, I think, to share with the Rabun County residents, and I want to compliment the Rabun County Chamber of Commerce for all the things they do to support the businesses in our area. I was president of the Habersham Chamber for a while there, and I've worked with the Rabun County Chamber over the years in different ways, and I compliment you for all the special things that y'all have started that inform the residents of what's available in the county and promote the businesses.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing, is promoting all of our businesses so that they all will get the proper recognition they need and support from our county.
Yeah. And folks understand some of the great organizations that are here. To your point, the educational opportunities that are available to children are critical.
Yep.
For lots of different reasons. And I think we have wonderful public schools, but we have two fantastic independent/private schools.
Yep.
That, again, I don't think people necessarily realize the level of achievement and excellence.
Well, I think we all complement each other. I don't see that any of us are in competition. Students deserve choice. They make their choices where they think they can be most successful.
That's right.
And we compliment public schools, other private schools for all that they do. And we're delighted to be part of it.
Yeah. Well, thank you again.
Yeah, it's been fun. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're interested in more information on the Tallulah Falls School, their website is a wonderful resource to include a lot of great video content, and you can learn all about the academic programs as well as the extracurricular programs that Dr. Peevy talked about. So, Dr. Peevy, if you'll join me, I always like to wave, and I always say, we'll see you next time, Rabun County.
Thank you.